Hey everybody, it's your girl Stephanie Roberson and Pepper Vaughn here. We are kicking off our New Year's edition on Your Life Index. So we are back again to speak to you on some life truths. So what's going on, y'all?
What's up? What's up? It's your boy Pepper. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, hey man, we're gonna kick off our conversation today, and it is living forward into new possibilities in a new year.
Ooh.
Living forward. Yeah. Well, looking forward, living forward. The whole idea is to invest our time, energy, emotion, and money in what's in front of us. Because what's behind us is just a lesson, right? I've always said you're only where you are on the way to where you're going. So where you've been, you can't regurgitate backwards, right? We can't live backwards. I think we talked about that last time.
It's that rear view mirror. Right?
Exactly, yeah. It's a small little rear view mirror.
Yeah.
But we live forward in that huge windshield. So, as we look into the new year, it just brings up a couple of questions for me. As I reflect in 2017 and ask myself, what did I learn through this entire year? Now, I sucked up air on this planet for 360-something days.
What did you learn?
Right. And, and I was one of those kids who my father always said, when I was leaving home to go to school, he always said, you will not leave this house, go suck up air at an education-based institution, and come back as ill-informed as you went.
Right.
So as I apply that to life, I just go, I cannot have lived an entire year sucking up air on this planet, interacting with people on a daily, and get to the end of the year, look at an assessed, year, and realize that I've learned nothing.
Right.
So I would tend to ask myself, what is it that I learned through this entire year?
That's the ponder.
Things that make you go, Right. So, and not only just to say, I learned this and to take this and compartmentalize it, put it on the shelf somewhere, but what did I learn this past year that can accelerate my planning on being more successful and more progressive and more well in the new year.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And, when we did our kickoff segment, kicking off this Your Life Index, it's, getting back to those essentials that we were talking about, which is, you have, things that in place in your life that you use as a pattern for life, as a pattern for decision making, as a pattern for teaching and instituting things and moving forward and shaping and molding and creating. We're talking about, okay, well, let's go back now, taking all those basics and say, okay, how did we apply that to this last year? And how are we moving that forward in our everyday life to where we have those teachable moments that we can say to people, hey, this is what we did in our 365. Now, what did you do with your 365? I know that on some level, obviously you're a teacher and you're a motivational speaker and all that. I teach, I instruct, I lead on my job. So it's like, what are those things that my parents always say to me, which is, and I know your parents have said this to you, which is, okay, in this past year in your life, at the end of the day, what did you do in people's life to make them better than they were before? And so this is why we're doing this podcast. And we just kind of want to kick off this conversation and say, hey, these are the things that we've learned, and kind of move the conversation forward and have a better 2018, because it's always about, doing better, being better, and doing more and being bigger as we move forward. So.
Well, also in our previous podcast, we talked about two purposes in life, and one purpose is all about you.
Yeah.
The other is all about everyone else, not about you at all, right? So I think we talked about this metaphorically like a coin, that a coin has its greatest value because it has two sides. A one-sided coin can be really pretty and shiny, but it has no value, right? So the other side to this coin that we're talking about, well, what did you learn over this past year? The other side of this, what did you teach? because
Yes.
what you learned is all about you. What you taught is not about you at all.
Right.
So, as you just mentioned, how was someone else's life affected just because you showed up that day, right? So, if we can, just take a little inventory and ask ourselves, what did I learn this year? There's a good chance that we learned a lot more than we think we did, right? Because it's almost impossible to interact with people all year long, have experiences all year long, and come away, having learned nothing. Even if it's unintentional learning, you absorb information just because you're a part of the process. Have you ever had it where you're driving along in your car, you start singing a song that you've never studied, right?
Right.
You never sat down and studied the lyrics, but you find yourself singing along like you wrote the song. And you go, wait a minute, I never practiced this song, but it's in your subconscious. Why? Because you were repetitively part of that listening experience or hearing experience. So I kind of think we learned things this year, but if you want to itemize that learning and say, go back in your assessment and say, of the things I learned accidentally or on purpose, which of those hold value that I want to inspire, me going forward into my new year? Which of these learned things do I want to take into the next year with me?
Right.
Because there are some things you learn, you don't want to take them. Right? You don't want those dragging along behind you, right? Like a bag of snakes, right? You know what I mean? So I think it's a really healthy process for us to just stop for a second, get off the fast spinning merry-go-round, look at this year, because we're at the very end of the year, and really, even if you have to take it month to month, experience to experience that you can recall, and say, my takeaway from each of those was da-da-da-da-da. Right. And then to put it in the category of anchor or elevator that I want to take into the new year. And then I think we start off consciously 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, let's get into this material, because I think for me, the biggest thing that I have been kind of, working with and kind of struggling with is, meeting people where they are.
Where they are.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's been like, yes. So let's talk about this. Because for me, it's like, and I think for you, I always try to get on this podcast acting like I'm talking for Pepper, you know what I mean? But it's like, for us listeners,
yes.
No, it's very hard to, and it's become easier understanding that piece of it, whereas everybody isn't where you are. Everybody doesn't have the sense of understanding to be where you are.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't start at A. Some people may start at C or F.
Absolutely.
If you're fortunate, you may be already at Z and you know everything, like my mama, like your daddy.
That's a scary thought.
That's very scary.
Right, that's scary thought.
Yeah, I want to continue to learn.
To wake up thinking that you know everything already.
Very scary. So for me, I've found it less taxing, more, I think, shall I say, rewarding for myself and whoever I'm interacting with to meet them where they are.
Right.
To understand where they are, meet the challenges, and bring them forward.
Absolutely.
Because people come from different backgrounds, different experiences.
Right.
Maybe they were raised by their parents. Maybe they were raised by their grandparents.
Right.
Maybe they were in foster care. Maybe not. Maybe they had a silver spoon in their mouth. There are certain trigger points and experiences that people kind of learn from and offshoot kind of their own realities.
Absolutely.
But you and I may come to the same conclusion, but the way we get there could be very different. So I think wherever that point is, you gotta meet that point and then kind of go from there. So I may have the answer and you may not be ready to take that answer up. I think it's just really instructive and it's fruitful to try to understand the other person and then move them forward, because they may not be ready when you're ready, and that comes along with everything in life. Just having that patience and that understanding to meet them where they are.
Right. Well,
not drag them to
even
where
the
you
compassion.
are. Yeah.
Because everyone has a right to be where they are.
Right.
Right. how they got there, we may never know. What it took for them to get to where they are. Therefore, they deserve to be where they are and work forward, as you said, work forward from there.
Right.
We can bring in every 6-year-old, and say, okay, well, 6-year-olds all start in first grade, right?
Right.
Well, there may be a 6-year-old with a college genius. You see what I mean? So, does that college genius 6-year-old? Should they be forced to start in first grade? No, you have to meet them where they are and let them progress in their academic, success from there, right?
Right.
Because all of our journeys, right? Remember I said, you're only where you are on the way to where you're going. All of our journeys deserve to be respected, to be acknowledged, to be, even if it's not totally understood, just the perspective of it, to know that there was a huge investment in where we come from.
Right.
So for us to be where we are, I think that is a healthy place, because we all need a home base. If not, then we're sitting in regret. Right? You know what I mean? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Well, I wish I was da-da-da. Well, I coulda, shoulda been. No. Let's start where you are, because that's where it's honest. Right? That's where it's honest. Let's start from there and say, what do I need to do from this point to now move in the direction of my vision? Whatever that is.
Whatever
right?
it is.
And I think what each of these people, and when I say people, I'm including myself, all of us, right? What we deserve is for someone to accept us right there, unconditionally for the most part, but definitely minus judgment. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty cool, where you say, okay, one of my things that I've been struggling with, yet working on improving, is meeting people where they are, because that's where they're the most honest.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No,
Bam!
Bam! This is done.
So for me, okay. Are they done clapping now?
Yeah, they're
all right,
done.
Cool.
That was like
that was
epic.
That was a big one right
crowd.
there. All right. So for me, as I reflect on my year, I just kind of ask myself the follow-up questions. What is it that I want to change going into the new year based on my experiences from this past year? You know what I mean? And not everything needs to change, right? There are also some things that I acknowledge, based on my assessment, that will say, I wouldn't change that for the world. I want to take this exact compassion into the new year, this exact caring heart, this exact work ethic, whatever it is, right? Everything we want to do better.
That's true.
So I would like to improve on it, but I don't want to change it. So the two follow-up questions for me, along with what did I learn and what did I teach, is what is it that I want to do differently? And that would lead me to, okay, how will I make those adjustments? What is that going to require of me? An adjustment in my attitude, because the attitude determines what? The altitude, right? Is it an adjustment in my thought system? Is it an adjustment in my behavioral patterns, right? So what is it that I need to to dial up, dial down, make a right turn, a left turn, a 90 degree, whatever it is, right? So I challenge and invite everyone, all our listeners, to ask yourself these same questions, because at the end of the day, our experience through a year should lead us to an overall greater good.
Correct.
At the end of the day, right?
That's right.
But in order to do that, I think one of our goals need to be betterment, right? That I want to be a better human being. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better, work coworker. I want to be, whatever it is. I just want to live better. Now, does that mean perfect? Absolutely not. Right. That's the one word I think they should take out of the dictionary, by the way.
Let's do
wait
that.
a minute.
Let's do that, folks.
Do people even use dictionaries anymore?
No.
Okay.